Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Rugby Borough Council's Cabinet this evening on the 6th of June. I'm Councillor Seb Lowe, Chairman of the Cabinet. Before we begin with the formal agenda, I'm obliged to read out the following notice. There is no fire drill scheduled in the building this evening. If the fire alarm sounds, therefore, please could I ask that you make your way down the main staircase, out of the main doors of the Town Hall, and congregate at the entrance to Caldecott Park. An officer of the council will then give instructions when it is safe to re-enter the building. Moving on to the formal agenda, item number 1 is the minutes. Are members of Cabinet content for me to sign the minutes of the meeting held on the 7th of February 2022? Any dissent from anyone?
Agreed, nope. Chairman.
Thank you. I will sign those minutes. Item number 2 is apologies for absence. Do we have any apologies for absence, Executive Director?
Chair, we have apologies this evening from Councillors Miss Lawrence and Ms Robbins.
Thank you. Item number 3 is declarations of interest. First of all, do we have any declarations of non-pecuniary interest as defined by the Council's Code of Conduct for Councillors? Do we have any declarations of pecuniary interest as defined by the Council's Code of Conduct for Councillors? And do we have any notice under Section 106 Local Government Finance Act 1992 non-payment of community charge or council tax? No. Okay, item number 4 is question time. Do we have any questions, Executive Director?
Yes, Chair, we have a question today from Becca Stevenson.
Hello. Why does Rugby Borough Council not have a portfolio holder for the responsibility of climate change and the environment, especially in light of its ambitions regarding the climate emergency?
Well, thank you very much for your question. So since declaring a climate emergency, the Council has been clear that to become net zero and to address the broader environmental and biodiversity crisis, significant action is required within each and every service that we deliver and by each and every team within the Council. It's not just the responsibility of one portfolio, in other words. As such, we took the bold and necessary step of establishing a climate change champion, seated to my right, whose remit it is to work across all portfolios and to ensure that all services prioritise action and maximise opportunities to collaborate. The Climate Change Strategy and Action Plan, which has been produced as a result of this appointment, reflects all services and all teams contributing to our net zero ambitions and is testament to both the decision and the ability of our climate change champion to bring services together to deliver meaningful change. So perhaps a shorter version of the answer might just be that we see it as everybody's responsibility in a very serious and meaningful way, and therefore it's not right to have it siloed in one individual portfolio holder. Moving on with the rest of the agenda then, and as if by magic, and I promise this wasn't in any way stage managed, we have at item number 5 the Climate Change Strategy and Action Plan consultation, and our Climate Change Champion is going to say a few words about it.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, this report's to approve the draft Climate Change Strategy and Action Plan for consultation. It's a really important document which sets out how we plan to meet our ambitious net zero by 2030 strategy, and it's a core priority of our corporate strategy. I think it's important just to say it's not just about what actions the Council will take to reduce its own emissions, although of course that is extremely important, but it's also about how the Council can show leadership and enable others in the borough to do the same. And it's important to say at the outset that we recognise the linked nature crisis as well as the climate crisis, and the Strategy and Action Plan aims to tackle this too. And it sets out 7 key areas for action and then breaks it down into an actionable plan with timescales and allocating responsibilities across the different teams for delivery. And we won't be able to deliver on our climate and nature goals unless we do all work together and embed consideration of both climate change and nature across all the decisions that the Council has made and will make in the future. And the delivery plan breaks down those actions across the different portfolios and across the different teams. And as the Chair's just said, we see it as being really important that everybody understands the prioritisation of this and works together to deliver on this action plan. And we're also calling on all local partners to recognise the climate emergency as well, and we want to work closely with people to see changes across the wider borough. And I think, you know, there'll be many co-benefits which will come with that, such as clean air, warmer homes, which are cheaper to run, improved health and well-being, and skilled jobs. So I'm really looking forward to hearing from Rugby residents in response to the consultation. And I really hope that they'll share our vision for a climate positive and sustainable Rugby. So I move the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Crane. I will second that. Any comments, Councillor O'Rourke?
Thank you. We welcome the report. I would just like to say I always think it's a bit of a shame when we get such big, important reports at this time of the year when we're going into sort of holiday mode and people will be going away, which, you know, it is slightly disappointing. And I welcome the fact that you talk about working in partnership with people. I know we have our working party, but I do feel we need to be a little bit more ambitious in terms of engaging those interested parties, particularly when you look at what's happened in Warwick, where they have the Warwick Clean Air Alliance, and they have lots of different partners working with them. I think it goes beyond our responsibility, as you've already said. And my concern is when we have working parties, they're so inward-looking, and we, you know, really need to be looking at more of an alliance where we're working on a, you know, regular basis with businesses and interested partners right across the borough, even if that's just once or twice a year. So I'd like to see something being put in place to actually do that. So, you know, I know we can't influence, well, we can influence lots of things, actually. I know we can't control everything, but we can influence things. And by good example and working in partnership with all the right stakeholders, we can really make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rourke. I think I would just say the only reason it's come now is because we couldn't do it before because of the local elections. So we've been wanting to bring it before, but it's just a timing thing. And I mean, I couldn't agree with you more about engaging with stakeholders. I think the purpose of the working group has been to help pull together this strategy and action plan, and now we're going to move into the delivery phase, so we'll very much be working with local stakeholders.
Thank you. Councillor Roodhouse.
Thank you very much. I'd like to place on record to start with the work of the Deputy Executive Director in pulling the document together with the working group and the amount of hours that he's had to spend on this, along with all these other jobs and recent actions as well. So thank you to Dan and to the rest of the working group as well, because some of those members are now no longer on this council. I note in paragraph 3 the proposed consultation, and it does talk about the particular partners and local businesses and those particular elements, and it's a 6-week consultation. I'm glad that we've now reached this point. I recognise that the elections got in the way, otherwise we could have been at this a lot earlier, but that's one of the disadvantages, I suppose, of having elections every year, that we have to stop everything every April and not start again till May, but you know, we are where we are. So hopefully that all residents and everybody will actually engage with this, because it's really important that actually at every level, parishes, residents, groups, and I'm speaking to Transition Rugby on Saturday, and they're very keen to hold a meeting about this, as are other organisations in the borough as well, and that when we actually then bring back that revised document, actually we do see the changes that have been made within that to make it a sharper focus, and actually, and then we can start the delivery. I've looked at the, if you like, the accountable officers and people at the end of the document and the delivery side of that, and I welcome that as well. And I suppose against that we need to then sharpen up timescales against some of this stuff that's got to be done, and of course resources will have to be brought to bear in order to do that. So it's the first step. So yeah, let's get on with the 6 weeks and let's get everybody motivated behind it, because it's a really important document.
Thank you. Nothing further to add, but I mean, I've already thanked the Deputy Executive Director, but I'll put it on the record because he has worked very hard, as have many others, and the working group as well.
Okay, well that's all speakers. So now to the vote of Cabinet. All those in favour? That is carried unanimously. Moving on to item 6, then the additional restrictions grant funding, which is with you, Councillor Picker.
Thank you very much, Chair. So this report covers the additional restrictions grants provided for businesses following the COVID-19 pandemic. I'd just like to place on record my thanks to both our officers and the Coventry and Warwickshire Growth Hub, who helped distribute our entire allocation of just over 2.8 million for local businesses in the area. That covers 1.7 million in additional restriction grants in 2021, as well as just over £900,000 to support 25 businesses and 471 jobs in the borough. That's helped some of our local businesses really recover and move forwards as we've eased the restrictions. So I'd just like to move the report as written.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder from the Cabinet, please?
Yes, I'll second that, Chairman.
Thanks, Councillor Poole. Councillor O'Rourke, any comments? Councillor Roodhouse, any comments?
The only comment to say is it's really good to see, working with the Growth Hub, actually getting the full allocation 0-0 at the end of the day. That's a good sum game to have, I think.
Okay, in that case I'll put that to a vote. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously. Moving on then to item number 7, which is still with you, Councillor Picker. It's the Town Centre Working Groups.
Thank you very much, Chair. So this report covers some of the work that's been ongoing with both the rugby bid and with local businesses, including the breakfast business meeting, which I'd just like to thank the Chief Officer for helping organise and run. It also covers the 5 new working groups that have been set up to look at the future of the town centre, and that's something that I'm personally looking forward to getting stuck into over the coming weeks and months. So I'd just move the report as written.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder, Councillor Poole?
Yes, I'll second that, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Councillor O'Rourke, any comments?
It's good that we are doing stuff, and we know that there is quite a lot of unrest at the moment amongst town centre businesses. So I think engaging with them is absolutely vital. They're not happy, you know that, I know that. And I do feel, and I don't know how Councillor Roodhouse feels, but I do feel, and I've shared my concerns with some of the officers, I do feel as a town centre councillor, it just doesn't feel right that I have no engagement at all with Rugby First or the bid, even though I've asked for it on many occasions. And I have businesses approaching me all the time, and it's not a good message. So I do hope the portfolio holder will work with me and help me provide some assurances for myself as well as the businesses about how we go forward in the future to work for the businesses and for the people of Rugby. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm very happy to do that. And just speaking personally, my first job was a shop in Rugby Town Centre, so it is something that I want to see get the town centre up and running.
Councillor Roodhouse, any comments from you?
Just a couple. Just to say, yeah, welcome the groups that we're getting there, and also welcome the fact that we're looking at short-term, medium and long-term, so we can actually do some of the quick fixes, which I've spoken about before, which I think we can just get on and do. I have to say that over the last months or so now, the increasing complaints I get about Rugby First from everybody is like across the board. So there's something, in my view, seriously wrong with that organisation. But then again, that's of no surprise to them. Shouldn't be, because I've been saying that for years, about, they're just taking the money off all the local businesses, and what are they actually delivering? And I think there's some big questions still around that to answer. In sense of timescales, it says June, July. Are you looking to come back to Cabinet and then Council in sort of August, September? Because there's a sort of, because of the cycles that these things work on, we could be, and they've all got to get written up, of course, and all the usual stuff that goes behind the bureaucracy of local government.
I think on the second point, I think there's a recognition that we need to move swiftly on that. So hopefully get something back as soon as we can.
The the one I'm chairing is meeting on Monday, and I think the general sense is let's get it done in weeks rather than months, Councillor Roodhouse, so as soon as we possibly can, but it'll depend on the scope of work as defined at the first meeting.
Well, I mean, I'm just trying in the back of my mind, because I haven't quite got the diary in front of me, about when, because presumably it's going to come to Cabinet, or is it going to come to Council? Because I think it's something that should come to Council.
Yeah, no, it'll come to Council in July, straight to Council.
Sorry,
Councillor Roodhouse, I apologise. I misunderstood your question. It'll come to Council in July. Okay, all speakers done. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Carried. Item number 8 is the appointments to working parties 2022-2023. In the absence of Councillor Robbins, I will move this. It is a very self-explanatory report that simply states what the working parties are and who is on them. I welcome comments from speakers, but I feel there's probably not a great deal more to say beyond what is written in the report. Will you second me, Councillor Poole?
Turn your light off, that's it. Thank you. Yes, of course I will, Chairman.
Thank you. Well, Councillor O'Rourke and Councillor Roodhouse have both shaken their heads vigorously at the suggestion of speaking on this matter, which I assume means they don't want to. So, all those in favour? Thank you very much. That's carried. And again, with me, in the absence of Councillor Robbins, we have the Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Policy Statement, which is a tightening up and updating of our Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Policy. Again, it's fairly self-explanatory. I move it as written, but anybody is welcome to comment if they wish. Councillor O'Rourke, Councillor Roodhouse.
Thank you. I'd just like to say thank you to the portfolio holder, who I know takes the job of chair of the Equality, Inclusion and Diversity Group very seriously, and it's good to see that we've got an up-to-date statement that reflects where we are now. So thank you.
Councillor Roodhouse? Good. What a very harmonious meeting we're having this evening. Right. Councillor Poole, it seems only right that you should second me. So will you second me? Thank you very much. All those in favour?
Oh, sorry. I was waiting for you to turn.
That's carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Moving on then, we have what I personally think is a very exciting item at number 10, which is the introduction of cashless payments in off-street car parks. Councillor Poole, you know I'm very excited about this. Will you move this?
Chairman, thank you. Yes, I'll move this. Due to COVID-19, the economic downturn and changes to the working and consumer habits, people are increasingly using the phone apps to do their daily business. Whether that's accessing services to the council website or sorting out the banking services or doing online shopping. It will ensure that we are providing a modern payment facility for users of our car parks. This, along with the long-term austerity measures affecting the council funding, this means options for replacing current facilities need to be considered for best value. Going cashless will provide savings for the council with reduced maintenance costs, cash collections and costs, etc. The trial of cashless parking at pay and display car parks across the borough on a trial basis, initially for 24 months. It will operate alongside the current cash payment option to allow convenience for residents and visitors to the borough. Chairman, the most common misconceptions around cashless payments are that customers need to have a smartphone to make the use of the service, or the older generation do not have the necessary skills to use the technology. Various methods are covered in the report. The added benefit of cashless option is the ability to extend the parking time where maximum length of stay restrictions allow use and using of the phones without payment and need to return to the car park. Cashless payments ease queues for the payment machines, and additional machines experience mechanical difficulties. These are lost in revenue due to fraud and theft, and counterfeit coins also minimised. Many cashless parking apps also offer a search and route facility to help customers find car parks in our borough. The service avoids motorists having to drive around the borough for a car park, reducing emissions to the environment. It also means fewer emissions from vehicles on the road that would be required for collection and maintenance. I'll move the report as follows, Chairman.
Well, thanks, Councillor Poole. I think this is an excellent report, and thank you for your excellent summary of the report also. I'm happy to second you. Councillor O'Rourke, any comments? Councillor Roodhouse.
Just a couple. The first bit, I suppose, is around the communications. My experience of this happening elsewhere is that if you get the communications wrong, even with Ringo, that just happens to be the company concerned, it can go badly wrong. And that's for people that are just not used to using apps or phones or other systems around. So there is something about having a really good, strong communications message which is going out. And that's just for all elected members and people as well who can pass those messages on. And that seems to be a good method of actually imparting stuff through, is doing that through elected members as well. So that's the first point. Second point, just going back to climate change. I note that it talks about it could improve air quality and so on in the impact assessment. And then when I look at section 2, the impact assessment, it doesn't have any impact on anything. So that's more of a comment than anything else. Whereas will result in reduced idling and unnecessary driving, therefore optimise traffic flows in built-up areas, and it does say in the report, will help air quality. And then, as I say, on the impact assessment, where you tick the boxes, every single one is no impact, which I just can't believe. So I don't believe it, really. So it's a message going back, really, that if you're going to fill these forms out, can you please make sure that they're done properly? Because that's what they're there for.
Thank you, Councillor Roadhouse. Your comms messages, I will make sure that messages go out to all our councillors and speak with our comms team and my officers and get the message out across the borough. Secondly, your air quality, I will speak to the officers and get a reply sent to you post-haste.
Okay, thank you. So all those in favour, please. That's carried unanimously. Thank you very much. That concludes our business for this evening. So thank you very much, everyone, for your attendance. Mike, if you could cease the live stream now, that would be great.